Welcome to Huddle Up,
Brought to you by the Fields Huddle Group.
Jaguars senior writer John Oehser, NFL Network analyst and former Jaguar Bucky Brooks, and senior reporter J.P. Shadrick bring you the latest on your Jacksonville Jaguars. Huddle Up starts right now.
And welcome in. It is Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks. It is Wednesday, week 3. The Jaguars and the Texans coming up from the bank this Sunday. Plenty to get to on this program. A preview of that Texans-Jaguars matchup, AFC South showdown. The Jaguars offense has been in the headlines this week after the performance against Kansas City when they were shut out of the end zone. The new-look Texans, what do they have to offer? A lot of new. Head coach, quarterback, defensive end, and then it's on to London the next 2 weeks for this Jaguars team. Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks, brought to you by Fields Auto Group Jacksonville. Step up to luxury. FieldsAuto.com. J.P. Shadrick, John Oehser, Bucky Brooks joining us from Los Angeles. Good afternoon, and it's finally back to football after a tough loss last week, Buck. What's up?
Yeah, tough loss. Tough loss. Really disappointing. Disappointing because I think in 2 of the 3 phases, special teams and defense, you played well enough to win, but offensively, big disappointment. Struggled up front. Quarterback didn't play well. Didn't make enough plays, and you had opportunities. So it's one where you want to turn the page, but, man, you may look back weeks later and just wonder, man, how we let that one get away.
Well, yeah, and I think the thing to remember is division game this week is really a bigger week for a lot of things. Perception-wise, last week was huge. Reality-wise, this week is really huge to me because this is the kind of game, and I'll see if Bucky the analyst agrees with me. He's many things to many different people. This is the one where good teams that are going to win their division and be consistent and be one of those power teams, they get this one. They get it at home against a division team they ought to beat. It's, I don't want to say routine, but it's decided going into the last 7 minutes, you feel like they've got control of it. They've really never been under this regime in this position before. Remember, late last season, everything was sort of must win. There was clear urgency to everything at the end of last season, and they weren't very good early. So this is the first time going in as a team that, hey, they ought to get this one. It ought to be at home, et cetera, et cetera. I think it's a little bit of a test of where they really are mentally, preparation-wise, all that stuff. I think it's a big measure on that one, sort of in a similar way to the Chiefs.
It is a huge measuring stick game in terms of that part of it. This is, last year we felt good about the team because we saw them kind of check off those marks as a mature team. Well, do they have enough maturity to bounce back from a disappointing loss, take care of business in a game that everyone expects you to win? Great teams do that, and they not only win those games, but they do it in impressive fashion. If this team is what we talk about, like a championship caliber team, it should be won very early in the game. The execution's at a high level. You jump right on this team. You don't give them any life, and it's not like you're hanging on for dear life. You take care of them in what I would call a championship fashion. Right away, take care of it, get it out the way, and go on to next week.
Well, the offense was unable to do that last week. They had to settle for 3 field goals in the loss to the Chiefs. They struggled in the goal line situation late. They were 0 for 3 in the red zone for the day. The offensive line had issues with the Chiefs' defensive front throughout the game. But Trevor Lawrence, Jaguars quarterback today, speaking with the media, said he's still confident in that line and this offense bouncing back.
I know those guys are going to – we had some great meetings this morning like we always do on Wednesdays and some of our protection stuff, and those guys are going to be just fine. Not worried about it. It's all of us. It's all of us playing together and communicating, and, I don't think any player on offense played anywhere close to their best game on Sunday. So it's not just those guys. We all got to be better, and we will be. And I think we have the group that recognizes that. There's nobody that thinks that they played great on Sunday and thinks that they're above anyone else. So we understand where we're at, and I got a lot of confidence in those guys. And we'll put together a great plan and be prepared, and it starts today, and they're going to fly around. We'll have a great practice.
So that was earlier today. He speaks before practice on Wednesdays now. They were out on the practice field. John, we were just in the locker room in there after, and you can kind of sense a little more, I don't know if it's not tightness, but a little more maybe focus. Mm-hmm. They know it's a big game coming up. They got to get this one.
It's a big game, and I talked mainly to offensive players. They know they didn't play well. There's no panic. I talked to Evan Ingram a little bit about that, and he says, no, there's no panic because we know we can do it. There's certainly urgency. And one thing, JP, you and I talked about right before the show started, I'm surprised that the offense has struggled, but I guess looking at sort of pulling back and looking at last season and where this team is, maybe we shouldn't be shocked. We had such high expectations, but this was not a consistent offense last year. The biggest game in the franchise in 5 years, they got one touchdown against the Titans last year. Mm-hmm. And so it has been a unit that has had tremendous spurts, has looked very good in spots, but has also been looking for that consistency, been looking to take that next step. I think it will, and I think it's still searching for that next step. There's no reason to panic. It will find it, and I guess right now we're just wondering when.
Well, it feels like, Bucky, and correct us here, but, the first 2 weeks, defensive fronts for the opposition have had pretty good days. So whenever they can figure out how to block it or improve week to week or get that settled, there's been so much change up front and some new faces and things. Maybe that is what it's going to take. Maybe Cam Robinson coming back in the fold in a couple of weeks could be maybe the next step.
Yes. Whenever your offense is inconsistent, there are a couple of things that are traditionally at play. Quarterback is inconsistent. The quarterback is typically inconsistent because the offensive line is unable to protect. You look at those two areas, we've had inconsistent play in both areas. Trevor Lawrence hasn't been at his best. He's had some misfires. He hasn't necessarily been great when it comes to certain decisions, particularly down in the red zone. And the offense is going to be a little up and down when he's not playing at an A level. Some of his woes could be attributed to the fact that the protection has not been good at the line of scrimmage. You got a young guy in Anton Harrison, a rookie playing. You have Walker Little, who's still a young guy. You have a hodgepodge of pieces going in and out of the lineup up front. So you're going to get some inconsistency. And also remember this. The offensive line is the toughest part to develop in training camp because you don't really have a lot of padded practices, and you don't have a lot of padded practices in the regular season. So sometimes it takes 5-6 weeks before this unit comes together. Because in spite of all the work that they do in the spring OTAs and all those workouts, without the physical element, you just don't know how good that front five is. And so it's still a work in progress. There's hope and optimism that they'll get better. Right now, it just hasn't been good enough.
I also wonder, Bucky, if there's not some of that also going on with Trevor and the receivers. I got an email at some point this week saying I'm really surprised with all the work they do in the off season that the continuity with the skill players isn't better. But off-season is a different speed than training camp, is a different speed than preseason, than regular season. So I kind of wonder, Calvin Ridley's there and he's great. But does Trevor know in every situation instinctively to go with him on the read and with Christian as well? I think that'll work out. It got better continuity-wise last year, and I just wonder if they're still not sort of figuring out roles, figuring out, bang, bang, 1-2 read, 1-2 read. This is where I trust Ridley here. So I don't know if there's something to that as well, Buck.
There could be something to it. The difference is in the offseason, you don't have the offensive line in play when it comes to 7-on-7, 1-on-1s, and those things. So you're more likely to have timing and rhythm because the pass rush isn't a factor. Now when you put all 11 bodies on the field on each side, it changes that aspect of how you're throwing, who you're throwing to. Trevor now has to throw around passing lanes and those things as opposed to, hey, I'm just kind of doing this on air. Yeah, I got some defenders there, but I don't have anybody in my face. This team, we're 2 weeks in. It normally takes about 4 weeks for you to kind of understand a little bit of what you have, your identity to come through. Then it takes another 4 weeks for the coaches to kind of make the adaptations based on what you have. This will be a team that is a work in progress. You want to play your best football the last 8-9 games of the season, but the expectations were that this team offensively will be able to be high 20s, low 30 points per game just based on the firepower that you have on the perimeter.
It's harder when big guys are chasing you in your face. That's what I learned from that, Buck.
Imagine that, right? When they have bad intentions, it changes the timing a little bit. Hey, a little bit later, we'll get into this Texans defense and what they have to offer, including a couple of rookies that are in the starting lineup for them down in Houston. If you're a Jags fan who's always on the move, we've got the perfect plan for you. With the bundle at the bank, you can purchase tickets to 3 or more games starting at just $58 per game and get the flexibility you want for your time this fall at jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. Doug Peterson, when we come back as well, we'll hear from the head coach from earlier today as Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks.
Hello, I'm Dan Fields, and we have some great news. Fields has the vehicle you want, in stock, priced right, and ready for delivery.
Fields Auto Group is Jacksonville's luxury automotive destination for Cadillac, Jaguar, Land Rover, Lexus, Mercedes-Benz, and Porsche. Inventory is back and available for immediate delivery.
And every Fields customer can take advantage of our Fields Amenities program with complimentary loaners, car washes, and our cafes. You deserve the best.
Stop by today or go to fieldsauto.com.
The 2023 season is awesome. Introducing the Four-Legged Fan Club, the Jaguars' official fan club for pets. Presented by Forever Vets Animal Hospital, your furry friend can access exclusive merchandise, events, and sweepstakes throughout the season. Fan club members will be automatically entered to win the Pet of the Game sweepstakes with 2 Jags tickets and sideline passes for pet owners and a chance for your pet to be featured on the video boards as Pet of the Game. Visit jaguars.com/promotions/Four-Legged Fan Club to sign up.
The kick is up. It's good!
Score winning sub deals this Jaguars regular season at Firehouse Subs. Get 2 medium subs for just $10 after any game when the Jaguars kick a field goal of 40 yards or more.
It's a bold deal for the bold city.
Sign up at firehousesubs.com/field goals for Firehouse for offer details and to automatically receive this offer when you use your Firehouse Subs rewards account. Redeemable only at participating Jacksonville and Orlando area restaurants. Only available on the Firehouse Subs app and online ordering.
I tell you, these guys, they fly around. They play with a lot of speed and enthusiasm and aggression. It's just a tribute to what DeMeco's doing down there. He's changing that culture and you know, obviously young on offense, you know, with the quarterback and everything. But he's a talented player, obviously, dangerous out of the pocket, throws well on the run. Good football team, and you know, a scheme that we're familiar with defensively, but they're playing extremely well.
As head coach Doug Peterson, of course, earlier today, the full press conference now on Jaguars.com or Jaguars YouTube. And welcome back to Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks. JP Shadrick, John Oehser in Jacksonville at the Hyundai Studios at the Miller Electric Center in downtown Jacksonville, just outside of the bank. Bucky Brooks is in Los Angeles. We'll get to that Texans defense coming up, but let's start with the number 2 overall pick, C.J. Stroud, out of The Ohio State University, a 2-time Heisman finalist. That is all in the rear view, Buck. He's 2 games into his career. What have you seen on tape from the rookie?
Good player, man. Good young player who is gaining confidence each and every week. Coming off his best performance, obviously, week 2. Just a really solid player. When you watch him at Ohio State, he could throw with touch timing and anticipation. Probably of all the quarterbacks in that class last year, the most natural thrower, meaning the game is easy for him when it comes to dropping back, making throws, and doing that stuff. And as he continues to settle in and gets confidence and develops that synergy and connection with the receivers on the perimeter in Houston, he's going to be a problem. We better take advantage of the Houston Texans now, because this is a team that is on the come, and part of the reason that there's a lot of optimism around what the Texans will be is their young quarterback has a lot of talent, a lot of promise.
Yeah, they evidently think they found their guy, and early results would suggest that the thing that the Jaguars ought to take advantage of this week, you are a good defensive front, the Jaguars, that has been getting consistent pressure, has been playing stout, and you're playing a really beat-up offensive line. And Stroud hasn't thrown an interception, but you can certainly pressure a struggling offensive line into making sure his completions are shorter, maybe get one, maybe force a fumble, a sack. He's been hit a lot. At some point, the percentages are when you're getting hit that much, you're going to make a mistake and throw the other team the ball. So to me, this is where the Jaguars defense, playing well so far, should have a chance to turn in one of those performances where you feel like, man, they hit that guy today.
Kind of help does he have around him there, Bucky, at least in skill positions?
I mean, he doesn't have a lot of high-end playmakers, but what he has is a workman-like group that can flash. Nico Collins will flash and make some plays. They're getting some of the young guys involved. They have a Tank Dell, who's a rookie who has made plays throughout the preseason. Mechie is coming back and is beginning to kind of get into the mix on the practice field and those things. So they have a lot of what we call under-the-radar players. No one that is necessarily a star on the perimeter, but in time, if you give those guys time and allow them to work because you don't have a pass rush, they all can get open because they're all the NFL receivers.
By the way, he's been hit 19 times.
Yeah.
That's a lot in 2 games.
It's a lot in 2 games.
And usually at some point, that kind of pressure over time, logic tells you that balls will come out inaccurately and the defense should have a chance to get them, especially a defense that has shown in 2 games and really 19 games under Mike Caldwell. 5 of the takeaways this year have been defense. That's what the Jaguars are. You would think that would add up to being able to get takeaways on Sunday.
Yeah, tied for second in the league so far through 2 weeks. 6 takeaways for the Jaguars defense. Were they 4th last year? So off to a good start again in that regard this year. This Jaguars defense, they're playing well, right? This is they're not like the flashy sack, all that stuff, but they're still playing good defense, Bucky. We were talking about this, I think, on Monday night with Prisco and Baselli. You might have heard of those guys, John. I don't know.
Yeah, I have.
There's not right now, at least, a game wrecker on defense. There's not a Chris Jones on this defense. There's not there's guys that could be that in time, but there's still a good defense. So you can play good defense as a collective group, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah, you can't play good defense as a collective group. It's called quote-unquote team defense, meaning all 11 guys have to be connected and playing on the stream because you don't have that one guy that can kind of tilt the balance of power on game day. And because of that, everyone needs to be on and they need to be ready to rock and roll because this is one where you can't count on, hey, Josh Allen, you go and get 4 and 5 sacks and you're going to kind of be our one-man pass rusher today. It has to be a little bit of Josh Allen, has to be some Trayvon Walker, it has to be some Caleb Von Chasen and some of the other guys that are kind of rotating in and out. It has to be a joint effort where at the end of the day we look up and we're like, oh, the team has 5 sacks with everyone kind of pitching in a half a sack or a sack to be able to get this team to be as disruptive as they can be to create the turnovers that we've seen this team get in our best games. Our best games, we turned the opponent over. Some of that is due to the pressure, but a lot of it is due to the playmakers in the back end. If you can ratchet up the pass rush, then you'll see even more turnovers go in the Jaguars' favor.
I also think it's fair to point out that maybe no superstar game wrecker, but if you go through the 11, and there's more starters in the league now than 11, but just each position, there's really nobody also that stands out as an guy. Yeah. Meaning, this is Roy Robertson Harris good. Foley Fatukasi playing well. You look up last week and Rashawn Jenkins is knocking down passes that are intended for Travis Kelce. Siska, everybody. I sort of thought last year that Darius Williams was maybe a little bit of a weak spot in nickel. I wasn't sure him moving out, but he's getting past to play. I mean, he's playing well. I have a little egg on my face. I wasn't sure how good he was, and he's playing. So everybody, I don't know there's a weak spot either. So consistent team defense, I don't know that I would have expected to say that through 2 games coming into the season. And I feel like I probably just missed it a little bit. You had 11 starters coming back. Everybody played solid. If they stay healthy, I don't think this is going to be a weak unit at any point. I don't know if it's going to be considered one of the best in the league. But, Bucky, we talked all off season. It had to be good enough to break serve some and be complimentary. I think it's more than that.
Yeah, it is more than that. I think conservatively, you can say this is a top half of the league defense. The thing that prevents the Jaguars from jumping in that top 10 conversation, top 5 conversation, you don't have that proven and established pass rusher that you have a track record of 10-plus sacks each year. And on most teams, championship caliber teams, you have to have at least 2 pass rushers that are proven, that are established, that can get you 10 sacks, because what that does is that changes the way the offense has to approach the front line, changes protection. The protection now allows you to put more guys in coverage because it got everyone in. So that is what I would say the missing link. The final part of it, and this is what I want to see, when we have teams that you feel better about the matchup in the perimeter, do we still continue to play zone, or will we deviate from that normal pattern and play a little more man-to-man to prevent C.J. Stroud from having the layups that allows bad teams to kind of stay in games because you're allowing them to get first downs because you don't want to give up the big play. To me, that's what I'm looking for early in the game. Can we cover the Texans? Because if we can cover them, then we can get out of our traditional zones and start heating them up, bringing 5-man pressures because you know that you can hold up on the outside.
Bucky, I know they believed coming in, meaning the Jaguars people, if you will, that maybe they didn't have the game wrecker, but that the front 7 collectively was going to be able to play well enough to affect the quarterback consistently. It seems like they've done that. Even against Patrick Mahomes, he got some plays because he's going to, and he got some running plays because he's going to. But it seemed like they affected him more than he's affected a lot. They seem to be backing that up, I guess is what I'm getting at, that they're a defense that collectively can make quarterbacks nervous enough that they don't get comfortable.
Yeah, and talking to Tyson Campbell after maybe the first game, he talked about how they really worked hard on understanding who they are as a defense, really worked hard on understanding zone eyes, being able to react quickly, and they worked a ton on their tackling. It shows up because of the first 2 weeks of the season, with the exception of a play or two, they've done a really good job of tackling in space. And so if you're going to be a great defense, it's not only about the pressure and stopping the run. It really comes down to, can you get off blocks and can you make tackles? And the Jaguars have shown that they can do that. And they're playing with great effort and energy pursuant to the ball, even though coaches will always want a little more out of them. It's a nice foundation for what could be and maybe should be a slow and steady ascension of the charts for the defense.
And credit Mike Caldwell. I mean, he said that was priority number 1 that they needed to work on from last year. They missed a bunch of tackles last season, and they've so far done that here in 2023. Jags fans want customized Jaguars furniture for your home? Check out zipchair.com and browse all customizable options. Zipchair, furniture for fans. When we return, the Texans defense, what they have to offer. And DeMeco Ryans, his first year as head coach down in Houston. It's Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks.
Hello, I'm Dan Fields, and we have some great news. Fields has the vehicle you want, in stock, priced right, and ready for delivery.
Fields Auto Group is Jacksonville's luxury automotive destination for Cadillac, Jaguar, Land Rover, Lexus, Mercedes-Benz, and Porsche. Inventory is back and available for immediate delivery.
And every Fields customer can take advantage of our Fields Amenities program with complimentary loaners, car washes, and our cafes. You deserve the best.
Stop by today or go to fieldsauto.com.
Are you ready to elevate your tailgate experience, Jaguars fans? Citrus Distillers, a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, is excited to announce the 2023 Jaguars Limited Edition Whiskey Bottle. Now available at Total Wine and other participating retailers. Elevate your tailgate experience, Jaguars fans. The 2023 Jaguars Limited Edition Whiskey Bottle. Duval!
Your hometown gate now has more ways to save. Introducing My Gate Rewards, a new loyalty program with member-exclusive savings and fuel discounts. Earn points on in-store purchases, take advantage of special offers, and save on products you love. Score free coffee, fountain drinks, pizza, and soft serve with Gates frequent shopper clubs. Then use your points on savings at the pump. Download the My Gate Rewards app in the App Store today or ask a store associate for more information. Go from good to Gate.
They don't get a ton of work during the preseason. It's why I play the starters, really. I know it's limited in preseason, but it's why I do play the starters, so we try not to have too many setbacks as the season begins. But there is some some continuity that has to be worked through with that offensive line. There's communication that has to be worked through. Ben's working himself back in as a starter again. Missing a few games from last season. Walker's playing tackle for the first time, kind of full time over there right now, and we got a young right tackle. So there's some pieces that still need to work together, but they're coached well and they practice hard, and we'll work through those.
Of course, head coach Doug Peterson earlier today discussing the offensive line and their improvement moving ahead. And welcome back. It's Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks. Wednesday ahead of Week 3. The Texans come to town, face the Jaguars. JP Shadrick, John Oehser, and Bucky Brooks. And they'll be facing the Houston Texans defense. And, they got some new faces there. Obviously, the number 3 overall pick, Will Anderson on the edge. They've got a rookie linebacker as well. How is this group pound for pound up front? Let's start there, because that's the big storyline this week for the Jaguars, that offensive line and how they've handled the defensive fronts the first 2 weeks. What did the Texans offer on the front four?
Well, they offered the number 3 overall pick in Will Anderson, who is an absolute monster. We see the pressure percentages right out the gate. He's been productive. He's been effective. He flashes disruptive potential. He's been even better than advertised coming out of Alabama and landing with the Texans. He is the guy that will be the point on the sword. His energy, his ability to kind of create chaos at the point of attack will set the others up for opportunities on pass rush now.
Point on the sword.
Is that another one?
That's another one.
You got a new Buckyism.
Got it. I love it. Week 3, you start to see who people are. We're seeing Bucky's coming into his own as well. Look, the Texans up front that's where they can disrupt you. They're beat up a little bit in the back, but to me, this game is more about, in talking to guys in the locker room today, Evan Ingram talked about this a little bit too, and so did Christian Kirk, hitting on the theme that Doug talked about Monday, with just sort of feeling on Sunday like everybody had to make the play and everybody sort of had to be the player to make it in the moment. And so many of those guys talked about, let's just relax and let the offense come to them. I guess I would defer to Bucky the player. How tricky is that to do? When you've got a little bit of anxiety and you need to make the play, just letting it come to you. How hard is it? Is that a real thing they're talking about?
Yeah, it's a real thing. And it's that fine line between kind of pushing the envelope to make a play, but really trusting that the ball is going to come your way, meaning that the plays are eventually going to come your way. If you just play within the scheme, it's going to happen for you. But, it's a playmaker's league. The guys who make the plays are the ones that get recognized. And even when you're a young player trying to figure it out, you understand that if I make a play, people are going to talk about me. How can I do that? How can I kind of toe the line with being that playmaker while playing within the confines of the scheme? That is something that everyone struggles with, offensively, defensively. How do I do that and still remain a team guy? It's the battle that every player kind of struggles with. And it's really on coaching to reinforce those proper habits. Hey, man, run to the ball, do the things that we ask you to do, focus on the process. You focus on the process, the result is going to end up being what you want.
I guess that gets even trickier when – I don't want to say the offensive line has been awful, but when you're not quite sure each play, if it's going to hold up, if it's going to have to roll out, if the play is going to look like it's supposed to, then all of a sudden that maybe goes up a little bit of, okay, we got to make it on this play because we're getting a little bit of pressure in the backfield at times. So I would think that would play into it as well.
Yeah. On the back end of this defense, I know they got a couple injuries there. Shaq Griffin's on this team. Derek Stingley's back, coming off an injury last year. I think he had a hamstring injury throughout the year, and he had the interception off Trevor in the end zone last year in that first meeting, which is a tough memory to bring up. How are they on the back end, Bucky?
They're young, but they're talented. Stingley comes back, gives them a high-end player. They went and got Jimmy Ward, in the offseason. You think about Jalen Petrie and what Jalen Petrie has been able to do in his career. I mean, they have some young, talented players that'll rotate in and out, and depending upon injuries and those things, they're going to be a very formidable secondary. They might be a little limited in terms of how much DeMeco Ryans wants to expose them to pure man coverage, but he's going to have a good plan. He's one of the best defensive minds in football, and he has a talented young group of playmakers that he can work with. This could be tricky for the Jags because they can throw a few different looks at you and kind of find a way to bait you into some mistakes.
Yeah, I think these games are always tricky because even though early in the season, I think over the course of the season, the Jaguars are going to be a better team than the Texans. But early in the season, you've got a quarterback who doesn't believe that his team's bad. I mean, so they continue to play hard. They continue to play with belief. So the early moments of these kind of games, especially earlier, I always think are so important because the longer you let them hang around, the longer they believe, all those old cliches. But he's playing well enough where if they get some stuff going early, then all of a sudden they believe they're going to win it until the end. So early in this game, I think, is important.
How is DeMeco Ryans so far? Kind of handling the spotlight. It's a quick ascension through the defensive ranks in San Francisco. Guy who played for a long time in the league, though, Bucky.
Yeah, he's played for a long time in the league. He's a smart guy. When you talk to the people from the Niners, they just raved about his ability to get that defense going. You now put him in the big chair where he's the decision maker. It's very similar to the way that he ran his defense. This is a team that trying to add playmakers. They're a physical team. They practice well. He's going to make it where they muddy the picture for the quarterback, and they're going to try and make it a brawl, make it a physical affair, and see if they can kind of win by playing harder, being a tougher team, and those things. But DeMeco Ryans is a good coach, and I would expect him to do that. Learn from Nick Saban down at Alabama. He played for the Texans when the Texans were successful. He has a lot of that winning pedigree in him. He's just trying to kind of add his own spin to it to get this franchise back on track.
The Texans-Jaguars matchup this Sunday is presented by Renewal by Anderson, a better way to a better window. Visit rbafla.com. Our final thoughts when we come back. Should we have a few? Maybe we don't. We're about to find out. In just a moment, it's Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks.
Hello, I'm Dan Fields, and we have some great news. Fields has the vehicle you want, in stock, priced right, and ready for delivery.
Fields Auto Group is Jacksonville's luxury automotive destination for Cadillac, Jaguar, Land Rover, Lexus, Mercedes-Benz, and Porsche. Inventory is back and available for immediate delivery.
And every Fields customer can take advantage of our Fields Amenities program with complimentary loaners, car washes, and our cafes. You deserve the best.
Stop by today or go to fieldsauto.com.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at Everbank Stadium because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Over 70 years of authentic Southern Pit Barbecue. We are the local barbecue joint in BBQval for generations of people in Jacksonville. Go to bonosbarbq.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit. The kick is up. It's good!
Score winning sub deals this Jaguars regular season at Firehouse Subs. Get 2 medium subs for just $10 after any game when the Jaguars kick a field goal of 40 yards or more.
It's a bold deal for the Bold City.
Sign up at firehousesubs.com/field goals for Firehouse for offer details and to automatically receive this offer when you use your Firehouse Subs rewards account. Redeemable only at participating Jacksonville and Orlando area restaurants. Only available on the Firehouse Subs app and online ordering.
We're back. It's Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks. Wednesday, Week 3. The Texans and the Jaguars coming up from Everbank Stadium. And the Jags are 1-1 through 2 weeks, as are many other NFL teams. JP Shadrick, John Oehser, Bucky Brooks. Got to remember that part, right? I mean, it's 2 weeks in. Doug Peterson said that a couple times. Hey, we're 1-1. We're where we want to. It's fine. We're in a good spot. We could be better, sure. We could be worse. Yeah, you're going to get better, and there's 15 games to go. John.
It's such a hard league, and it sort of comes full force on weeks like this. It's only week 3. At the same time, this is a game that you sort of, as Bucky likes to say, that you circled before the season. Okay, that's one you ought to get. And then the Falcons are next week and they're unbeaten.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. We're looking ahead.
And then the Bills are good. So
oh my gosh,
it's just a hard league, Buck. It's a hard league. You played a bit.
We're over here, books on tape, and we're skipping ahead. We're not just staying on task. Like, we're not process oriented. We're over here thinking about the results. But you're right. In reality, when you think about the next 3 games, this one and the 2, there each quarter you would like to be 3-1. We have to admit it because it's a 17-game season. This has to be one that you get, and then you look ahead to the Falcons and the Bills. You would like to take care of business at least one of those, and if it's optimistic, 2 of those.
Right.
But this is one that you have to. This one should be put in pen. Like when we were talking about the preseason, when you kind of picking wins, this is one that you kind of put in pen. This should be a W, particularly the team that we're playing at home, even though they've been a thorn in our side the last few years.
Yeah, it's great to circle those, but then you also got to go play them.
That's right.
So, and that's why it's a hard league, and take the W's where you can get them.
What does Bucky Brooks think about it in the background there? We hear Bucky Brooks.
Well, yeah, I mean, Luna's very disappointed. She's trying to get over. I told her, hey, by Wednesday we got to turn the page. She was still disappointed about last week, but I told her we're gonna be optimistic. There's some treats on the horizon if we take care of business on Sunday. So that perked up. That's what you heard. We had made that agreement. We were talking about it. She was kind of negotiating what she deemed to be appropriate treats for a win.
We'll see if she gets fed or not this week. That would be a nice bonus. Hey, I think that'll do it. Jaguars, Texans.
Good show.
Yeah.
Good football show.
Bucky brought it today.
Point of the sword.
Point of the sword.
Point of the sword.
Point of the sword, except for like a minor faux pas when it came to DeMeco Ryans and saying he played for State. Much to know better.
It's okay. Hey, it happens. That's Bucky Brooks. That's John Oehser. I'm JP Shadrick. Thanks to our entire crew, and thanks to you for watching. Huddle Up with